All right, Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football, with a little halftime look. Can you believe, people, what's going on in College Park? College Park, Syracuse, the second best team, number 2 seed in the ACC last year with 10 wins, coming back with Tommy DeVito at quarterback instead of Eric Dungy. Of course, they had a win against Liberty last week, 24-0. Didn't look impressive offensively against Liberty last week. Carry over to this week. Maryland, we've talked about it the last couple of seasons when they're on their game. Texas, Ohio State, a few other games. Man, they're speedy and explosive. We see these recruiting classes that DJ Durkin was so in touch with and brought into Maryland. 2 top 15 recruiting classes, or 15 to 25 recruiting classes at Maryland, and we see them balling out now. Anthony McFarland having a huge first half. Javon Leake as well. 42 points in the first half. Not against Howard this week, 56 last week, against Howard in the first half. This is Maryland putting up 42 points in a half against Syracuse. 42-13 at half. I don't know that they've gone to halftime yet. I've kind of shut down my computer screens because I'm watching you and doing the live feed here. But keeping my eye on Maryland-Syracuse. That was the game that I said I wanted to watch more than any other game at noon. Maybe not so much in the second half. I appreciate everybody on the line. I'll get to your comments in just a second. So, Command Central here's got Ohio State-Cincinnati, of course. Justin Fields looks great. Justin Fields looks amazing against a good defense. Desmond Ridder, the Cincinnati quarterback, knocked out for a series. The Ohio State defense has been relentless. They're up 28-0 right now. We'll go through the details of that game with you as J.K. Dobbins is looking good. The wide receivers, Garrett Wilson, people, scored his first career Ohio State touchdown. He's a 5-star out of Texas. He has tremendous ability, and it wasn't just a play in which he was wide open, caught the football, no big deal, right in the breadbasket. He high-pointed the football, tore it away from the defender. Garrett Wilson made an incredible touchdown for the Buckeyes to make his first score in Columbus. It should be the first of many. Ohio State up 28-0. The Buckeyes look dominant against a good Cincinnati team. All right, again, I will check out the comments in just a second. The story of the noon hour, I'm looking at it right now at the Big House. Army 14, Michigan 7. The only thing I don't like about what's transpired in this game in particular is that Michigan was robbed of a touchdown. Army made a bad pitch to the right. It was behind the kid. He fumbled. I don't remember who it was from Michigan, but he picked up the ball and ran for a touchdown. They reviewed it, still ruled on the field that it was down there. And Michigan did not get the touchdown. The Wolverines were robbed of a touchdown right there. I texted one of my buddies and I said, Michigan was just robbed of a touchdown. And he's like, awesome. And I said, I want the games to be called fairly. So that's my position in college football, regardless of who I root for. I want the games to be called fairly. So Michigan robbed of a touchdown. And they've turned it over 3 times. So the very next play after Michigan gets that turnover, Shea Patterson, this one not his fault. Shea Patterson blindsided as he was doing a play action, had his back to the defense, and Army recovers, gets it right back. And the Army run game has been what the Army run game is against the Michigan defense. Army attempted its first pass on a 4th and 5 on the Michigan side of the ball, Michigan side of the field. And Lavert Hill and Khaleke Hudson were both holding. Michigan's probably their 2 best defenders, 2 of their 3 or 4 best defenders. Lavert Hill and Khaleke Hudson both grabbing jerseys of Army wide receivers. Think about this. Army had run like 25 plays before they attempted to pass. They attempt to pass on 4th and 5. Michigan had a pass rush that was fierce. The Army quarterback couldn't even see down the field, but the Michigan defenders, their 2 best defenders, are downfield holding Army wideouts. So that converted the 4th and 5. Army scores a touchdown. It's 14-7 Army. The Michigan offense obviously looks Awful. I haven't caught the entirety of this game. Obviously, we can only watch one play at a time. But I've got Ohio State-Cincinnati up, of course. The Maryland-Syracuse, as I talked about off the top, if you just joined me, I ran down what's going on in College Park with Josh Jackson looking great, throwing the ball all over the field. Anthony McFarland is a beast. Remember when he came out of high school as a top 3 rated running back and chose to go to Maryland? Anthony McFarland tearing up Syracuse. The Orange getting crushed right now, 42-13. Tommy DeVito's made some poor choices at quarterback, was picked off by Mosley, which led to another Maryland touchdown, a play in which it looked like he was trying to throw the ball away, or maybe he was trying to make a play downfield. But Tommy DeVito, he did have one really nice touchdown pass to Sean Riley in the corner of the end zone. Otherwise, Syracuse getting mauled on defense, 42-13. I will get to the comments in just a second. I'm loving this first half of college football at noon. You know, like the 5th or 6th most important game is a good one. Purdue-Vandy. I hope you guys caught my predictions because I'm rolling right now, but I know it's early. And anybody who makes predictions should never brag about their predictions before the games are over because you know how that works. But I did take the Buckeyes minus 15.5. Did take Vandy plus the 7.5, and to win the game outright. Did take Maryland minus 1. I did take Michigan minus the 22. Not looking good right there, but another game mixed in there. I can't remember. I'm looking really good at this point. Virginia Tech taking on Old Dominion as well, and I've got an eye on. I got one screen on Mizzou and West Virginia, and yes, I guess West Virginia is that bad. They only beat James Madison by a touchdown last week, and they only scored 20 points against James Madison. And many of us thought West Virginia was going to fall off the cliff this year. I thought maybe 6-6 after the whatever they went 9-3 last season. But Will Greer, their left tackle, gone. 2 of their 3 best wide receivers. Yeah, Neil Brown has a bare cupboard right now with Austin Kendall at quarterback, and West Virginia's just probably one of the teams that has dropped off more than just about anybody in the nation based on 1.5 games right now. All right, let's get to the live chat, see what you guys are talking up. Of course, again, it's Ohio State looking awesome. Maryland looking unbelievable, 42 points in the first half. The offense is just clicking. And Army with a big upset. That's the big story of the first half, 14-7 on Michigan. But is anyone surprised, really, considering what Army's done in the last few years? Just a different football program than they were just a few years ago. Let me pull up, let me get to your comments. I can just throw them right up on the screen, of course, and we'll tear right through them. DF Sports, every dumb broadcaster, Michigan, something. DF Sports, go Buckeyes. Vodka drinker, go Army. Yes, Robert. Maryland. Whoa. And Robert, maybe your first appearance at Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. You know what this means, everybody else. You know what this means. I've never seen Robert comment. Don't know who you root for. Maybe it's Maryland. Then you're really happy. Or maybe you're just like me saying, Maryland football. Look at this. Robert, welcome to Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. Thank you so much for joining, and let us know who you root for and how long you've been watching. Always interested when somebody makes a comment, how long they've been watching. Sometimes they say, yeah, I just caught you for the first time yesterday. Sometimes they say, been watching for 3 years. So just curious about that. Robert Brooks, go Canes. Must be your team. Big game tonight against North Carolina as a 5-point favorite. If you want to check out my predictions, you can't do it in the live stream right here. You go to any video, go to the description section, grab the link next to the Voice of College Football Community. Voice of College Football Community, grab that link, grab it right there, and you get my picks. Off to a great start today. Nate Kingston, hating those suck eyes. Raheem McElwain, I got to say it again. Welcome to Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. Raheem, it's good to see you. Good to see everybody online enjoying the first half of college football. Unless you're a Syracuse fan, unless you're a Michigan fan, unless you're a Cincinnati fan. If you're a Rutgers fan, you expect this, you got this, you get this every week. So it's pretty much the same. Iowa taking it to Rutgers 17-0, which is pretty much money in the bank because when is Rutgers going to score against that Iowa defense? Again, keeping an eye on Mizzou in West Virginia, and Mizzou bouncing back after the road woes at Wyoming and the shocking loss as a 16-point favorite in Laramie. Then they come back home in West Virginia. Yes, this looks like it might be a rough season in year number 1 for Neil Brown. All right, who do you guys like tonight? Texas, LSU. My prediction, again, voice of college football community. We did a preview early in the morning or late at night, depending on your perspective. I posted a video at like 4:30 in the morning, LSU, Texas. Just another look, just another breaking down the matchups here at the voice of college football. Blacklist. DCUO. Got a lot of newbies on the line. This is awesome to see. Where have you guys been? Blacklist. Welcome to Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. It's great to have you on here. Yeah, I don't see Michigan beating Ohio State like everyone is saying. I'm not a fan of either, but Michigan isn't looking so hot. Not last week. And we didn't know really how to take that. You guys understand the deal when somebody like Michigan's playing in Middle Tennessee, Ohio State playing in FAU. How do you take the game? Well, if they completely struggle the entire game, you take it as, wow, this is a bit concerning. But if it's like a Michigan, well, they jumped out to a big lead. They just kind of coasted home. They were down 7-3 at one point against Middle Tennessee, but basically they took a 3-score lead, and that's the way it just kind of ended. They didn't come anywhere close to covering the 34-point spread, but they won 40-21. Ohio State, the same thing. First 4 drives, brilliant. Throwing against air, they were brilliant against FAU the first 4 drives. Then they looked completely lackluster after that. So do you think, okay, did FAU figure something out and Ohio State has a lot to work on? Or did the kids just pack it in and say, we got this 45-21 win? But we're seeing with the Buckeyes today against a really good group of 5 Cincinnati team. I'm thinking top 40 team in the nation, top 45 team in the nation, something in that range, I believe. Maybe UCLA just made them look that good last week, but of course they were last year at 11-2 and won a bowl game against Virginia Tech. But the Ohio State defense in particular, and that's been the concern for Buckeye fans, I think, has been more about defense. 71st in the nation last year after 3 top 10 finishes in 2015, 16, and 17. So you take a top 10 defense 3 consecutive years, and it's 71st. Greg Schiano gone. And look at what the Buckeyes are doing. Look at what they did last week when the game really mattered against FAU. They made the plays. They were in the backfield constantly. Chase Young looks amazing, although he could have caught an interception. Did you see that play? Sean Wade just blasted the Bearcat. Ball popped into the air. Chase Young had the play right there to make the pick and possibly go to a pick 6. One of my favorite plays in college football, in football period. I was going back and forth with a buddy texting favorite play in football. Pick 6, strip sack, touchdown, safety. I like blocked kicks. All right, Texas Savage. Go Army. And by the way, Raheem, welcome to Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. Please let me know who you root for, how long you've been watching. NBA fan, good to see you. Excuse me moving up to the screen here, but I need to do this to click on. I don't have my normal setup. I'm watching on the couch. My boy's coming over pretty soon. We watch football together. It's a good time. I will be back with instant analysis at some points during the day, both live streaming and doing the call-in show, and also, of course, the instant analysis of specific games. Yeah, William, it's crazy. 42-13. Maryland puts up 42 points in one half against a team that went 10-3 and played a very strong defense last year in Syracuse. And Syracuse's defensive line was supposed to be really stout this year. James Kane, Harbaugh as a coach. Michigan plays a decent team, and they just seem to break down. NBA fan, Michigan in a dogfight. Nate Kingston asking about Colorado or Nebraska. Go to the link at the Voice of College Football community. I would love for you guys to join the community, the Voice of College Football community. Grab the link. Unfortunately, there's nothing in the description section of this particular live stream, but you go to any video, grab the link in the video next to Voice of College Football community. All my picks are right there. Off to a good start today. I had the Buckeyes covering the 15.5. I had Iowa covering the 18 against Rutgers. We'll see about that, up 17 at halftime. Off to a great start, obviously, with Maryland taking the Terps -1, off to a 29-point lead at this point. Ready to get back to the second half of all these games. I thought it matched up perfectly. I didn't know that I would go live at halftime because I hate to miss action. But pretty much all the halftimes lined up at the same time. So I said, let's do it. Let's jump on here. So we appreciate everyone on the line. As Vodka Drinker mentions here, Michigan, 7 fumbles in a game and a half, lost 5. So going back to the Middle Tennessee game, that is a problem for the Michigan offense. Obviously, that we've heard so much about Josh Gaddis's new Michigan offense. Spread the field, get it to the playmakers, get it to Black and Donovan Peoples-Jones and Nico Collins, and let them do their thing out there in space. And Shea Patterson's so used to this offense. This is what he ran at Ole Miss. This is what he ran in high school, that the athletes would flourish. We didn't really see much of a difference last week, and we're not seeing it this week. And when you turn the ball over against Army, obviously, if you turn it over against anyone, your chances of winning are minimized greatly. Minimized greatly. You guys know the stats when it comes to turnover differential. It's mind-boggling. You have to be a great team, typically playing a lousy team, to overcome like a 2 to 3 turnover deficit. But it's emphasized and amplified against Army because they keep the ball. They don't throw it, so the clock runs. They barely get first downs. They don't get many explosive plays, which allow them to score quickly to get them off the field and get the defense back on the field. So the drives are long. A couple of years ago at Ohio Stadium, Army had a 99-yard drive that took the entirety of the third quarter, excluding like 12 seconds. Took the entire third quarter. So what Michigan's encountering is they're not having the ball much because they've turned it over, but then Army keeps it because of the style of play and not stopping the clock with pass completions going out of bounds and pass incompletions, obviously stopping the clock. So Army plays takeaway. They reduce the time of the game, and Michigan's in some trouble. It is only 14-7. But if this lasts another quarter, if we go to the fourth quarter and Michigan's still down or it's tied, then look out. DF Sports thinks Michigan's going to lose 3 games. Antoine Johnson. We really need to bench Shea Patterson. Dude is falling apart. I know a couple of turnovers. His fault. One was not. I've not seen him throw the ball today. I like Shea Patterson. Think he's a good quarterback. But you've got Dylan McCaffrey. Would he be the guy? He is the backup, correct? Did he win the number 2 job? He's the guy, obviously, of the future at Michigan. Yes, Matt Jones. Is it just me, or does it seem, aside from like William Lee, and DF Sports that everybody else is new to Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. This is awesome that I see all these new names. So I want to do this basically for everybody out there because I don't want to annoy all of you by doing this constantly for every particular person. But this is typically the welcome. Welcome to Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. So Matt Jones, Maryland offense looking dangerous. Yes, it does. They're so explosive. So explosive. And as I mentioned off the top, and only about 3 were on the line at that point, not the 29 on the line as we get close to second half action. Maryland's looked like this in other games against good teams, Ohio State namely, and Texas in particular. Those are the ones that come to mind that everybody watched and was paying attention to. So this Maryland offense, they recruited speed. DJ Durkin recruited tremendous speed at the skill positions on offense and in the secondary on defense. At Maryland, the inability to win games has been about defense, missed assignments, poor defensive line play. It's been about poor quarterback play, injured quarterbacks, and now they've got Josh Jackson, who comes from Virginia Tech with a 25-10 TD to pick ratio, and he's a good quarterback. I talked about this all off season. Josh Jackson, in the time that I watched him in Virginia Tech, which was one full season in which he won 10 games, took them to an ACC championship game against Clemson. They only lost by 1 score. And then they lost to Oklahoma State in the bowl game, but he had a nice season. 25 TDs, 10 picks in his Virginia Tech career, including 1 game last season before he got hurt. That I thought this was a huge upgrade for Maryland, a huge story that got attention, but not as much attention as it should have. Certainly, as Cincinnati comes out in the second half, they've got the ball. No. Yes, they do. They've got the ball. And the Buckeye defense looked amazing. So we've seen this out of Maryland. They recruited for speed. Anthony McFarland's amazing. Javon Leake averaged 9 yards per carry in limited time last year. James Kane, Patterson just needs to have a little more pocket presence. Yes, J.J. Fields does look amazing. He looks really sharp, looks really good, making the right decisions, throwing the ball with confidence, taking off and running. He's looked the only issue I saw with the Ohio State offense is they had a 4th and half a yard. And they were at the Cincinnati 21, and they lined up in a formation in which, with an empty backfield, they should have had one back there, but they didn't. And Cincinnati completes a ball downfield. Desmond Ridder, nice play to the tight end, I believe, where Justin Fields took off and ran, where everybody in the world knew what was coming because you had no back in the backfield. You knew they weren't going to risk a pass. And they tried to spread it out, and Justin Fields got thrown down, and they didn't convert 4th down. Other than that, the offense has looked amazing. Got no issues. The play calling has been such that we've seen all sorts of different styles of deep throws, just not the constant screen passing, bubble screens, tunnel screens that we saw out of Ohio State football the last few years with J.T. Barrett at quarterback. Just way too much of that stuff. Way too much, relying on the wide receivers to have to slip a tackle and make some yardage. Way too much of that. Not the downfield passing that we would see. Ohio State, a play from behind there. I want to get Maryland and Syracuse back in the screen here. Malik Harrison with a big play for the Buckeyes. All right, Antoine Johnson. Michigan will probably still win, but every effing play is an adventure with Shea. Matthew Miller, I have an 18 parlay that pays $17.50. Woo! That's a rough way to go there, Matthew, because something typically goes wrong when you need 8 things to go right. But if that's the way you're going, what do we got here, Nigel? It was this or Mythbusters. Arrows versus armor. Don't let me down, Mark. I hope I brought some energy, information a little bit for you there, Nigel. I would never want to let you down. Never want to let you down. Chase Young with a big play for the Buckeyes with the sack. takes Cincinnati off the field again. They've got a punt down 28-0. And this is a good Cincinnati team. No, this is not what Ohio State's going to see in a college football playoff or against Wisconsin later or Nebraska. Yes. I don't know. Nebraska, Cincinnati, based on what we saw week 1 with the Huskers struggling with South Alabama and Adrian Martinez running for 6 yards. 4.5-point favorite at Colorado. I played that one. Thomas, Michigan is trash. How is that team number 8? Good call here, JJ. Thoughts and prayers to Kyreek McDonald for his unfortunate event during the game. He was taken off on a stretcher, but we understand he actually walked into the locker room. If I heard that correctly from the sideline report, that he actually walked into the locker room. So that's amazing. And Justin Fields back in the game. Is he 7 for 7? Oh, that's on 3rd down. All right. Triple option, extremely hard to defend. James Kane, Maryland, a top 10 team. Okay, Dean's List. Dean's List. Welcome to Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. Please lock it in right here. You're going to love my top 25. That actually makes sense. I release it every Sunday. Obviously, with the Sunday and Monday games last week, not on Sunday last week, but my top 25 that actually makes sense because you make a good point there. If Maryland looks like a top 10 team, regardless of what we thought in the preseason, if their resume says top 10, nobody's going to rank them anywhere close to the top 10, but I will because my top 25 actually makes sense. It's based on what we see on the field. Ben Lauer, man, so many names I've never seen before. Where have you guys been? Lock it in here at Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. I hope you guys are watching. We deliver analysis every day from myself, 107 bloggers, broadcasters, and writers last year. Constant analysis all the time right here. So I appreciate you guys jumping on board. We're probably going to shut it down here real quick, and we'll be back with more analysis after the noon games. For the comments I didn't get to, and there's a ton of them, I want to get you guys back to football. I was looking. There we go. McD Sports 4. Got to be feeling so good with his Syracuse first half with the Maryland 42-13 lead. Game's not over, but let's lock it in on the second half. I appreciate everybody that jumped on the line. If I didn't get your comment, I apologize. Obviously, I'm not going to keep up with all of them, but thank you so much. Lock it in here, share and subscribe, do all the good things that help us build the channel, like and comment. And of course, there's always the super chat on where you can help us build the channel. Keep this in mind. 13,000 subscribers. That's going to be 20,000 by the end of the year. $1 or $2 out of everyone. Then I'm doing this all the time. And then you would not believe what this channel will look like. All right, enjoy the football. We're going to see you in just a couple hours with instant analysis. Thanks so much, everyone, for jumping on the line.